I arrived to school late one day due to me ditching the first two periods with a friend. I believe it was my sophomore year of high school, and it was around 10 in the morning. Around that time, I had PE. That day, it was free zone, meaning you could either do basketball, volleyball, or laps around the gym. I was shooting hoops with a few friends of mine when I started hearing two other guys arguing. I looked and recognized them as Ian and Ryan. And from what I knew, those guys weren't friends at all. They began to start getting really loud with each other, to the point where everyone in the gym stopped what they were doing and began looking at them, including teachers. What happened next all happened very fast. Ian then swears at Ryan and pulls out a knife from his gym shorts and starts to slice him. Ryan then starts backing up while dripping dark red blood. The teacher then yells at him to drop the knife. Ian then starts staring at the teacher hastily while continuing to hold the knife, and then starts advancing towards him. Some girls started screaming, and some guys started to back up with worried look on their faces. Just then, the school officer barges in pointing a gun and demands Ian to drop it, in which he did. The cop put him in cuffs and escorted him out. A lot more police showed up, including the news station, which we all saw during lunch, since it was the very next period. Everyone at the school knew about it in a matter of minutes, including a lot of very concerned parents who quickly found out about it. I heard some people talking about it at lunch. Apparently one of the guys knew the other guy was a rival gang member, so he planned to bring his pocket knife in his PE shorts. I'll never forget the amount of fear people got that day, including myself, and how things can happen all so quickly. I remember being in 5th grade, and a girl comes to school one day in class with a black eye. A lot of us were really concerned because it was so dark purple that it was actually almost black. My teacher was concerned, so she asked her quietly what happened. I'm a few desks over, so I could overhear what she is telling her. I didn't mean to be nosy, but I was sort of concerned too. She tells the teacher that her mother and her father were arguing that morning, and that her father had struck her in the face after attempting to stop them from fighting. The teacher then quietly grabs a white classroom phone and calls the principal, who then called the police. Cops arrive at the girl's parents' residence and find the mother severely beaten, but the father wasn't there. I don't know much more about what else happened, but I just know that the girl didn't show up to school the next day. Matter of fact, she didn't show up to school for the rest of the year. She moved after that happened. I just remember all that as being one of the dark moments of my school years. When I was in 1st grade, I would usually get picked up by my dad every day after school. One day, I waited for about 5 minutes and didn't see him, so I was sort of confused. I then see a guy in a truck smiling at me and waving at me. I was a few feet away, so he called out to me and told me that he was a friend of my dad's and to hop in. At the time, you might think this was careless of me, but you have to remember, I was only like 6 years old. He seemed friendly, so I hopped in. The guy had a big smile on his face and began driving. He then asked where I lived, and I told him right down the street. Now looking back, this was a weird question because if he was a friend of my dad's, shouldn't he have known where we lived? He then compliments my shirt, and I thank him. He was a really nice guy. We get to my house, and he drops me off, and he then tells me to have a great day. I knock on the door, and my older brother answers and opens it. He then looks at me and calls my dad and tells him I just got home. My dad arrives minutes later worried, asking me where I was at and why I didn't wait for him. I tell him that it was okay and that I hopped in one of of his friend's trucks, and he gave me a ride home. My dad then had a look on him that I'd never seen before. His face turned red and blue at the same time. He then tells me that all of his friends live 2 hours away, and he doesn't have any friends around where we live. He tells me that the guy that picked me up could have hurt me, or even done worse things to me. He then tells me to never hop in a stranger's car again, and to always wait for him. It's been about 7 years since I've seen that man, and I haven't seen him since.